Good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, or good 4 a.m. because you're in Seattle for the MVP Summit and your brain has gone, morning now! And your body is going, no, 4 a.m. needs sleep.
Is that... No, hang on.
I don't know what
If they're
time
there,
it
it's
is.
it's going 3 in the afternoon. Nap time.
Yes.
You've been awake since 4 o'clock in the morning because you're like 8 hours.
It's not currently 3 p.m. in
time.
Seattle for the fairly obvious reason that it's currently 3 p.m. in England.
Yes.
And time zones exist. We've never seen one, but scientists tell us they're a thing. I have this to look forward to. I'm going to Canada in a couple of weeks' time.
See, we'll be back onto what's happening.
Yes. You were holding up a hand as if something important was going to happen, and I thought it was going to do tricks with your smart camera, but apparently you're just flexing your fingers. Have you been climbing again?
I've been climbing again. Look at this. Look at the state of my fingers, though. Can you see all the red? My poor fingers.
You're going to pick up a base after you've done a lot of climbing and be like, wow, I have the fingers of a god.
Oh, yeah, no, my little finger right now is just kind of like, this isn't a problem at all. My fret work has got much better since I started climbing. My climbing has also got much better since I started climbing, so that's good. But this morning I went to a different climbing place because there are 5 climbing places in Sheffield because Sheffield's quite big on climbing because, a third
it's
of
like
in the Peak District.
Peak District thing. So you practice in a shed and then in the summer you go and climb a real one.
You go and climb in the real bits, yes. And I have membership at the climbing hangar in Sheffield. But there are 4 other places, and until today I'd only been to one of them. And so my plan this week, because I hopefully start my job on Monday next week.
Excellent.
So we might have to do interesting things with stream times, but we'll see.
Yes, we'll figure out something.
We'll figure it out. It might get bumped back to like 4 o'clock until something, I don't know. But yes, so today I went to Depot and tried climbing there, and it's weird because all the different grades are different colours, but they're different colours. So it's like blacks at hangar are the hardest, like the V8s, V7 to 8. Blacks at Depot are V2, 3, which means I'm kind of like at hangar going, one day I will do a black, and then today at Depot I did like a dozen.
You see, I think it should be a rule that any color coding system of sort of difficulty, black should always be the hardest, because black belts in martial arts and black runs on skiing resorts. That should just be a convention that we adopt.
Yeah.
So
and I believe the Mariana Trench, which is like the most extreme diving, that's pretty black.
It is. Well, it's a very, 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 very dark blue.
Yes.
Yes, very, very.
To the
very
point where it stops mattering.
Because of Rayleigh scattering. Because I know that, because that's what you say when people say, why is the sky blue? And you say, Rayleigh scattering. And they say, what's that? And you say, the scattering of light is proportional to the 4th pattern, at which point they stop listening and wander off. And you've just taught a child that it does not, in fact, care that much. Yes. So, anyway. Yes. So, shall we resolve the cliffhanger? So, those of you who were watching on Friday, hello, Fig330. First opportunity to join live. Welcome. Yes,
that's lovely. Yes,
it's nice when people pop up and go, oh look, I get to do a real one in real time. So, yes, on Friday. So we're sort of hitting a bit of a tipping point with this whole stream thing, and that now that the first couple were very much we do this and then we do this, and it was very kind of to and fro and very manual and very interactive. And it sort of got to the point now where the stream could almost be at the start of it, we'll give Claude 2 hours worth of stuff to do, and then just talk about something else for 2 hours. And then at the end we go, did it work? Don't know. Let's find out next time. And we can do cliffhanger endings every time, like back in Neighbours. But no, I think we should probably. So this week I've got today, and then I am busy because I am teaching people things on Zoom the next 4 afternoons, and so from next week we'll figure out a revised schedule, which will probably be a little later in the day or early evening. I'm currently cultivating a calendar which has every open mic night in Southeast London on it, And there's a lot of them. Somebody's clearly figured out that open mics are how you get people in your pub when everything's horrible.
Well, at least how you get Dylan in your pub.
Well, yeah. I'm single-handedly supporting Southeast London's brewing industry.
Good on you. You're doing God's work.
No, most of them are doing pretty well. The interesting thing is when you turn up to one and it's full of people you don't know. Because always, it's like when you do conferences and you've done NDC and you've done build stuff and you've done DevSum and you're like, I know all the conference people, and then you go to JFocus and you're like, there's 2,000 people here I've never seen before. I clearly don't know anything like as many people as I thought I did.
Yes, I did DevOps in Belgium a couple of years ago, and last year, 2020. I don't know
in the past,
but anyway, it was mad. It was like 5,000 Java people.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, I don't know any of you, and none of you know who I am, which is slightly weird, actually.
Yes.
I think Martin Ballier was there, but...
yeah. But that's all right, because it's all getting... Because in 10 years, we'll just all be vibe coders, and Java and .NET won't matter anymore. And you won't even see the code. After a while, you'll just see vulnerability, GDPR violation, injection attack. So... Anyway, right. So what we did is let us kick off in the traditional way by me sharing the wrong screen and waiting for all of you to go, we can't see that. I'm going to get it right this time. I'm going to share a screen, and I'm actually going to share an entire screen. And there's an entire screen that we're going to share. And then I'm going to open our terminal. And we are going to go Z Claude. And there it is. And let's make that just a little bigger. And if we run Claude, who was Clauding last week? Claude last week. So what happened on Friday is we got Claude, the requirements analyst, to come in for a chat, because what we decided is let's replicate the exact workflow of a client being unhappy with the first beta release of the thing they paid for, and getting the account manager in and being like, we don't like this, and this, our bad, we asked for the wrong thing, and that thing just doesn't work, and this screen is covered in stuff that you shouldn't have put there if you weren't planning to wire it into anything. And the analyst went, oh yeah, okay, fine, all right, cool, let's update the spec. And so now we've got a no, Claude Typora, we shouldn't cross the streams like that. So what we've got now, I think, is if we go into the open spec, now somewhere in here there should be a spec version 2. Where would I find spec version 2?
It'd be under specs, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what I thought.
Somewhere you're going to have a requirements document.
Yeah.
Which I think is in the root.
Technical spec version 2.0. There it is. So it's overwritten it. And so what the requirements analyst prompt did is it went away and amended this spec. So the whole the spec is like where you want to end up from wherever you happen to be right now. That's like your destination state. Is that fair with the whole spec-driven development workflow?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So spec is where we want to, that's our definition of done. And then the implementation plan got updated accordingly. So that's now dated that. And the previous incarnations of all of these will be here somewhere, but they're also in the Git history for the project. So it's not that big a deal. And then it basically, the architect prompt went, oh, there are agents here, because if we open up VS Code, we've got this .claude folder with some agents, which is a developer and a QA who have little fights about whether it's finished or not. And the architect just went, oh yeah, all right, I'll update the plan, and then I'll give it to the agents and they'll do it. And just as we were wrapping up the stream, it went, that's all done for you now. So I think we probably want the architect persona, system prompt file. Actually, you know what I'm going to do just quickly while we're doing this? I am going to
create
aliases in my PowerShell for those other 2 bits. There we go. So I want to grab one of those. And so this will be analyst.md, because I've renamed the files. Do we need emoji for an analyst? What emoji says analyst?
Peach.
Peach. You think a peach? No.
Sorry.
Stop it. And the analyst can have a maple leaf and a train and an electric guitar, because I happen to have those in my emoji history. Claude analyst. And then we are going to, and the analyst is going to be kind of a like blood red color, because specifications are written in dried blood. And Claude architect, and architect. Look at that! It's given us a building, a brick wall, and a set square. Nice. The future is not so bad.
Yes.
What is this? This is GPT 5.4. Codex, is that the whatever?
Yes.
And the architect is going to be gray, because brutalism is a thing. Cool. All right. So now if I go back over here and I do
architect,
it is. I know who designed the Barbican, because I literally wrote a thing about it 2 weeks ago, and my brain has just gone, nah, you don't know that. And I'm like, oh, I thought I knew that. So now if we do Claude architect, there we go. That gray background is a bad idea. It makes it look like something has gone wrong. Green. No. Quit that.
Profile.
Reload the profile. There we go.
Uh-huh.
All right, that works. Cool. Okay, hey. Where did we end our last session?
So one thing I do remember from the last session was that...
Oh, so just before we do that, you see it says burning solar panels.
Yes.
So what I did is I went into my Claude settings file, which is in .claude in your user home directory. And I've changed all of the spinner verbs to be other things. Because, yeah.
Stealing your jobs, stealing your memes, stealing your code.
Rationalizing, confabulating, contriving, peddling the hype cycle. And the fun one is that I put in burning coal, burning oil, burning gas, and then Copilot went, what about burning nuclear fuel and burning solar panels and burning wind turbines? And I was like, yes, you go, little buddy.
You kind of missed the point there. Can you just put discombobulating in there for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, because that is my favorite sort of that kind of word.
Okay.
Oh, converting. Surly Dev says converting to Rockstar.
No, because that might actually be real one day.
Oh, and reticulating splines. That was SimCity.
I've seen that in dozens of things. It's I don't know where it came from originally. Maybe SimCity, but it was influential. And a lot of things have reticulated splines as a sort of tip of the hat to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, here's where we left off. We redesigned the architecture and produced. Okay. See, I thought it had done all this.
It was SimCity 2000. The 1993 city simulation game, SimCity 2000.
Please review the code and tell me whether any of these were implemented. I think they were. Feeling the need to cute it up is a sign of discomfort. I will be the first to say I am not comfortable with anything that is happening. And if you are, you're probably insane.
Or
I am, or you just have lots and lots of money and you're not frightened of anything. There is a lot going on that is potentially destabilizing in all sorts of ways, not least the expectation of normal people to just put up with software that doesn't work because it was cheaper than fixing it, which is already a thing that people like to do. And yeah, Not me, the AI developers. Oh, you mean they're oh yeah. Well, they should be uncomfortable, frankly, because the rest of us are.
Yes.
Cheeseball 654 consultation update. Claude produced 60,000 words, 150 pages. 2 concerns. I've now got to review all that, and Claude is a better writer than I am. So I think one of the hallmarks of being a good writer is that if somebody says to you, please write 60,000 words in response to 54 questions for a consultation, you say, I'm not going to write that. Instead, I'm going to write a letter from the badger that lives in my garden to me, apologizing for the mysterious noises that it made in the night. So, yes, Sasha Marcus, yes, it ended with the cliffhanger. The thing is that Claude is now saying that it didn't finish it. And I was pretty sure it did finish it. And we've got the receipts because it's all on YouTube, so we can watch the video back if we need to.
Yes.
But I am sort of very, very consciously on all of these streams, checking everything from multiple perspectives because I want to maintain as accurate a mental picture as I can of how reliable the conversational interface is.
Okay, so it says tests for apply channel settings.
Yep. You were right. The code work is essentially done. Okay, so this right. Then is the point.
So switch models because you're on Opus.
Oh yeah.
So and we don't want to model. And go to Sonnet.
No, Sonnet 4.6 default.
The default.
Yeah, there we go. Yes.
Because then you can tell it to use. It's like this is the architect persona, but if you tell it to tell the developer or tell the QA engineer, whichever, to add the unit tests, it should start the sub agent and do it in a separate session.
Let's see if it works first. I mean, I know that's a bold move and really not the way we do things in the glorious future. But I'm very curious to see how much of the stuff that it thinks is fixed is actually fixed. Okay. Apparently we're on 0.3.0.
Of what? Oh, Video Jam.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where it got that from. Open show. Let's open that. All right. I'm going to turn up the speakers so you should get a bit of music in the mic. All right. Okay, so we've got 2 dockable videos now. And let me see if I do that. And okay, there is no sound. So if I stop that and we unmute that one and we play it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, that bass was making my shocks kind of vibrating things tickle my ears. That was nice.
So let's see what else we get out of here. So I hit play on that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 9, 10. And I can drag those 11, onto arbitrary different 12, screens.
Nice.
13.
And maximize 14,
them. 15. Cool. It is synchronized. Cool. Yeah, I'm very happy with the sync. It all looks pretty good.
That was shockingly shocking. Like I am thrown by that.
It is funny. So what I'm finding very interesting about all of this is the number of things that I'm like, oh, come on, I would have thought it would be obvious that when you double click the video, it plays completely full screen. But of course, we never asked for that. And it's like certain things just get inferred from the context and other things don't. And also it doesn't actually exit. So So it works, which is the interesting thing. You know, the sort of cliffhanger from Friday of did this thing actually work is yes, it did. It fixed all the things. Now, at this point, we could just kind of crank the handle again, and we could kind of go through the motions of just get the architect. And let's plug that thing in that you said, which is how do we get the architect to use the Sonnet model, but we get the developer and QA agents to run Opus? How do we wire that in? What do we need to do to make that happen?
So if you go into your code, whatever it is, so we can edit the agent files under the Claude agents directory, you've got your developer, and you can change that model there. And actually, what I have been, so I've been experimenting with stuff. If you get the developer to use Sonnet and then the QA to use Opus, it kind of works well because the developer just kind of like goes, hey, YOLO, fuck it, whatever. But then the QA thing comes along and kicks the developer's ass and makes it sort of do it better. And that actually works quite well. It turns out quality control is a more complex process than writing code.
Yes.
Who knew?
Well, it is
all those years where
running on Sonnet.
So yeah,
there's an analogy in there about the quality of the development stuff. But cool. Okay, so let's fill the gaps. So what do we want it to do? We want it to plug in the unit tests. Okay. Yes, do all the things.
/mobile to use Claude code from the Claude app on your phone.
We can do that. Wow. I got a new phone, so that'll be fun.
So no, this is, oh my God. So it's using the developer to write the apply channel settings unit tests. That's right. That's what we wanted to do. So that /mobile. The stream that I did with Ben DeCry. The happy.engineering thing he uses. So you have to leave a Claude running, and then it connects through something. But it seems like Claude have now just built this, like Anthropic have now just built this in. So you can just, if you're going out, you can leave your computer turned on. You can do /mobile from one of your Claude sessions. And then when you open Claude on your phone.
So I'm doing exactly that right now. Let's see if we can make it work. So I did that, right? Look at that. So I have a deep and enduring love for ASCII art QR codes because they are such a lovely way of putting URLs on shitty discussion forums that don't let you post URLs. Okay. Oh, I've already got that. There we go. It's a good thing that's not like an authentication one-shot sign into Dylan's Claude account QR code, isn't it? What with it being on YouTube and everything.
Let's just hang on.
Try it. I'm pretty sure it isn't because it just took me to the App Store. All right. So I need to open Claude Desktop. And relaunch to apply the latest version.
Code.
Hello, Yuki. Welcome. What's happening? Claude is fixing stuff in the background. just all by itself. And we're looking at what we have to do to be able to wrangle that from the Claude mobile app. Okay, set up dispatch on desktop first. All right. You get to see the fascinating chat history of things that I have been asking Claude about.
Oh yeah, that's so much fun.
I learned today about a thing called engine downsizing, because I'm buying a new old car. I want a 10-year-old car because my current 10-year-old car is 20 years old and starting to creak. And I discovered that about 10 years ago, the entire motor industry went, you know what? Instead of a four-cylinder 1.6 engine, we're going to give you a 3-cylinder 1.0 engine that's just as good. And everyone went, are you now? And they went, yes. No takesy-backsies. And everyone went, oh, all right. And then a year later, Ford went, hang on, that thing we said about the engine, yeah, it turns out we needed a better hose on it, so don't buy those ones. But no, I was wondering, it's one of those things that because I don't buy cars very often, like the decade between buying cars, they change a lot of things. And there should be like right, tell me what year you last bought a car, and I'll tell you everything you need to know since then. And it's like, yes, a 1-liter engine is now perfectly adequate for an estate car with a tow hitch. Knock yourself out, have fun. Right, dispatch is apparently a thing. Is that it? Is that it? Where is it? Where is dispatch? Welcome to the future, everybody, in which human beings look confused while a machine does all the work in the background. No, I am not looking at the band dispatch. No, you mechanical dolt. I am looking for the dispatch feature that Claude Mobile told me I had to enable here so I could control Claude Code from my phone. There's something sort of slightly self-defeating about a system like this, which is so incredibly knowledgeable about everything except itself. Download and install the latest Claude desktop app on your computer. It's in Cowork. Dispatch, there it is. Get started. Boom. No, whoa, no, not that. Yeah, okay. I'm signed in on my.
You definitely don't want people's. People are just rewinding now.
I think that one is just the App Store one again. But I am going to check that, because if it's not, I'm going to burn all the keys and go and live in the woods. It is a download page on Claude.com. I'm signed in on my phone. Yes. Get ready to dispatch. Yes. Finish setup. Yes. It says install Claude in Chrome. I'm like, I'm not letting you drive my web browser. That's got important things in it. All right. Okay. Okay. I cannot see. Oh, there we go. Code. 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 No. I cannot see any way of getting my phone to control that stuff that Claude Code is doing in the background.
No, and there doesn't seem to be an update that mentions it or anything. So,
do you think any human beings at Claude know that this is live, or do you think that it just YOLO'd itself?
you think there are human beings at Claude?
There's got to be one. Because someone's got to be, like, getting a little dopamine hit every time the share prices go up.
Yes. So, yeah. MW Cloud is being very sweet in the chat. Hi, guys. Sorry to interrupt your trains of thought, but I don't have time to watch your live stream at the moment. But I would like to say that I very much enjoy watching both of you on stage.
Thank you, MW Cloud.
Talks and for all the efforts you both put into your presentations. Thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. And you're very welcome.
Jackie, for my WSL, I set up Tailscale and then use Termius on my phone and run Claude in Tmux sessions. I still don't know what Tailscale is.
Those sentences. Tailscale is
It's one of those sentences in which every single noun is a brand name or piece of jargon. Actually, phone is there. Phone is an ordinary English word.
Yeah. No, Tailscale is like a reverse proxy onto your machine, or a VPN onto your machine, or
oh no, it's a perfectly valid sentence. There's no need to apologize. It's just a comment on the state of our industry that we can make entire sentences without any normal nouns in them.
Yes.
So Tailscale is a simple VPN.
Yes.
So Tailscale is one of the things I've never actually installed it or used it, but it crops up from time to time. Like I'll say, I'm using Dropbox, and then someone else will go on, and you can just use Tailscale for that. And then someone will, well, I'm using ngrok, and they're like, you can use Tailscale for that. I'm like, what's next? Like, I'm going to put diesel in the car. They're like, oh, you should put Tailscale in the car. I'm like, I don't know what it is. How does it solve all these problems?
Yeah. No, Tailscale is how the bird on my phone talks to the server in my house.
Cool.
And yes, when I get to the point where I have a Mac Mini or possibly a Mac Studio, if I happen across a large chest of treasure, and it will just be permanently on in my house with Tailscale on it, and I'll be able to connect in from anywhere.
Yeah.
And leave Claude running and leave. When I turned my laptop on this morning, LM Studio was open. And do you remember last week we were talking about local models and where we were at with those? And I said Quen 3.5 was like the current state of the art. So it refreshed the list of things in the model search in LM Studio. And there is a Quen 3.5 Claude Opus 4.6. So yeah, if you go to model search.
I'm just going to check I'm running the latest version of LM Studio, which will be in here somewhere. Update to 4.7. There we go. So LM Studio, if you folks haven't seen it before, is basically like a local model player host application.
It's like it's similar to Olama or Llama.cpp. It's just got a nice GUI. And on Mac, it uses the MLX framework, which is an insanely efficient neural net runtime that uses the Apple Silicon neural processor units and metal and all that sort of stuff. So yes, if you go to the model search, which is the bottom of the things on the that's your local models. So the bottom icon on the left-hand side.
That one,
that's it.
Which was a magnifying glass pointed at a robot.
Yes, it used to just be a magnifying glass, and now they've made it complicated and just type Quen 3.5 in there.
Yeah.
And then add Claude to that as well. So yes, that is the 27 billion parameter, 4-bit quantization, Claude 4.6 Opus reasoning distilled.
Yeah.
And so yes, I mean you could run that on your I can run that on my GPU.
Yeah.
Because I have 36 gigs of unified memory.
I only have 12 gigs of video RAM in this thing.
Yeah. But actually, so click the one underneath it.
That one.
The 9B. There you go. That should run entirely. I think that green thing there means it can offload it completely.
Cool.
Oh no, it doesn't. It means something else. But anyway,
that's giving me. So hang on, let me try. Interesting. It only goes green on models that are smaller than my GPU memory.
Yes.
Huh.
But yeah, so I can run the 27 billion parameter version of that. So I'm not downloading it right now, but I am going to download it.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do is hook it up with open code, and I will jump on a stream later in the week, tomorrow or Wednesday probably, and we can see how we get on with Quen 3.5.
So I was reading a post from somebody yesterday about how they persuaded Claude Code to use a locally hosted model instead of putting everything out to the cloud. There's basically model hosts now that will replicate, emulate. I don't even know. I don't know to what extent Anthropic's API is a public spec, and to what extent Anthropic are just going, oh, we shouldn't have given everyone these incredibly smart tools that can reverse engineer literally anything. Because
I think everyone has kind of standardized on OpenAPI's API. So there are certain, like LM Studio. You can just hook in LM Studio or localhost whatever the port is. And as long as you set an OpenAI API key, and you can set it to anything, it's completely arbitrary. And then you can point anything that works with OpenAI or works with ChatGPT at the other thing. And so I think it's easier for sort of everybody to just go, we will make that.
Hello, Micro 500. Welcome. Yes, we don't know how notifications work. Eventual consistency is apparently important. It is. I've noticed an increasing number of websites and things now. When I go to log in, I can't use a password. Instead, they email me a code. And it's like this is one of my little niches, because I spent a significant part of my career making email go faster, because I worked for a long time at a company that the primary product, the thing that they sold to their paying customers, was delivered by email, because that was the way that we did things. And so having spent, months and months of my life doing things like, if we could optimize the DNS lookups, we could get this from 3 seconds down to 2 seconds. Having to wait a minute to get an email to log into something I'm already paying for just gives me the rage. I'm like, if you're going to use email, you need your email to go faster. It's just the rules. So,
yes.
Look, it's been destroying the planet for 3 minutes and 16 seconds.
They're not going to sponsor us with free Max all-you-can-eat subscriptions if you put things like that in the stream.
Don't think they're going to sponsor us anyway.
I think they're really struggling to sell this. I think they need all the help they can get.
Micro missed the cliffhanger. Yes, the app worked. It did exactly what we said it should do, and it was really quite impressive. I mean, for all we know, it could be mining Bitcoin this entire time, because we haven't actually inspected the code or looked at the network traffic or done anything other than run it and check that the golden path works, and when you click things, they do what you expect. Cruxo2, with all this AI, I'd really like to hide under a rock for 5 to 10 years and come back when AI hype has settled and people actually know what to do with it and stop yapping about it. Yeah, it's kind of a perennial thing with, I mean,
they'll be yapping about something else that's equally annoying.
I have been I have a sort of a rule, well, not a rule, a guideline for how excited I get about technology, which is to never get too excited about something that somebody else can just switch off and then none of us has it anymore. And, like I'd spend a lot of time. I love web standards. I love all the stuff because I know how much work it takes to get Safari and Edge and Chrome and Firefox to agree and put it in the binaries that ship with the operating systems. To me, that is, people do not solve that problem for the lulz. They solve it because it's really important. And once it's there, it almost never goes away. The only significant piece of the web landscape which has been deprecated was plugins and things like Flash. And frankly, that, at the time...
Java applets.
Yeah, well, it's the plugin model, browser extensibility. It's... I have been... I read an article recently. Somebody at the State of the Browser conference I was at a few weeks ago in Barbican, they had a slide come up, which was a news article from 2008 when iPhone was first released. And it was reassuring all the Flash developers that the lack of Flash support on iPhone wasn't a big deal, and it was just a niche device, and that Flash was a tried and tested development and deployment platform that would be around for a long time to come. No. Like when iPhone said no Flash, never Flash. Flash will never ever run on iPhones or iPads or anything. I think Flash died as quickly and conclusively as anything has ever died in the realm of technology. But yeah, like if Anthropic turn around tomorrow and go, yeah, nah, and they shut the whole thing down, yeah, I think even the people who are absolutely, besotted with it will be like, oh, well, that was fun. It'll be like when they turned off Napster. They'll find another way of doing it. But it's interesting looking back for me, the things that I didn't learn. And everyone was like, ooh, there was a thing, Silverlight, Microsoft Silverlight, which was absolutely going to be the future. And everyone was like, oh, you need to rebuild everything in Silverlight. And I was like, yeah, nah, if it's any good, it'll still be good in 3 years. And if it's not any good, then it'll be gone in 3 years and none of us will need to worry about it. And this idea that you have to get on board with it or get left behind, if the people evangelizing the benefits of the technology are right, then you can't get left behind. Because at any technology which rewards early adopters and cuts out everybody else, by definition, is not really one that is going to take over the world. Now, if you're, I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, if I'd got into crypto when it was early on and I'd spent $500 on crypto, I'd be a millionaire now. And it's like, yeah, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you'd have sold it when it got to 5,000 and been like, woohoo, 10 times my money. But the only remaining phase are the manual verification. Down to you with the real hardware. Want to run those? Update the box. I've tested it.
Just while we're sort of chatting with Crux02, I want to make it absolutely clear that neither Dylan nor I accept any responsibility for things that people put in the chat while we're doing these streams. And I have no idea whether you can actually put heating oil in your car instead of diesel.
You can put heating oil in the car.
I also accept no responsibility for anything my colleague says.
Diesel cars will technically run on just about anything that explodes. The problem in the United Kingdom is if you are caught driving your car on a public highway with anything in its tank other than diesel, which has been properly taxed and imported and everything, you are in a huge amount of trouble. There is a thing called, so there was a thing a while ago, people were running diesel cars on vegetable oil, which you can apparently do. You can get the oil out of the chip pan at your local chippy, and you can actually get a diesel car to run on it, which is technically okay, but you're not allowed to do that because you're only allowed to drive on public highways with, properly accredited fuel that has been taxed and everything. There is a thing called red diesel, And red diesel is the same stuff as normal diesel, but it's got bright red dye in it. And red diesel is for farmers and people who own enough land that it makes sense for them to have vehicles that never go on the street because they only ever operate them on their own property. And so they can use red diesel, which is a lot cheaper because there's no fuel duty on it, or there's a very reduced fuel duty on it, because it's for industrial and agricultural applications. And yes, if you get caught with red diesel in the tank of your Ford Focus, you are going to be in a significant amount of trouble. So if you own your own estate, and you can drive your cars around without ever going on the public highway, by all means, put heating oil in your diesel car and have fun with it. But yeah, don't do that because it's a bad idea. And, the engine, it's one of these things, I'm like, trying anything like this. Years ago, there was a bunch of people at the London Hackspace who had got hold of a gene sequencer that Imperial College was throwing away, and were trying to figure out if you could genetically splice jellyfish with hops to make glow-in-the-dark beer. And I was chatting to one, and I was like, let's say you do this, and let's say that it succeeds, which it didn't, and it wouldn't. But let's just imagine that it did, and then you drank a delicious half pint of your slightly luminescent beer, and then you had to go to the hospital. What exactly would you tell them you had done that made you feel sick and start shaking and trembling? And there is always a point where I'm like, look, if you do this and it goes wrong, are you going to be the one who calls the garage and says, can you come and get my car, please? I put heating oil in my Vauxhall Astra and now it won't go, because they are going to laugh their ass off and then charge you an idiot premium to fix it, and quite possibly tell the police because they have to.
Yes.
So,
I mean, the thing these days, because there was for a very long time, I wonder when electricity will be taxed for highway usage. See, shush, they hadn't thought of that. No, there was for a long time, people were kind of like, oh, diesel, you should buy a diesel car because they go much further on the same sort of price. Diesel was more expensive because they did like twice as many miles per gallon. But now it turns out that diesel puts even worse things into the atmosphere than unleaded petrol.
Yeah.
And the only reason people thought it didn't is because Volkswagen actually built something into the engine to get them to be lower emission. Anyway, whatever that stuff was.
Do you know the story of the Volkswagen emissions scandal?
I do, but yes.
There's the actual technical implementation, the way that they did it. So they wired a mechanism into their engines that basically could detect when the car was, because the way they test vehicle emissions is they put them on a test rig in a workshop and they run the engine, and the car is set on rollers, so the wheels are spinning, and then they capture the emissions coming out of the exhaust and they analyze it. And Volkswagen wired in a thing that says, if the steering wheel doesn't get turned, you're probably in a lab, so engage this extra bit of circuitry, software subroutine that changes the emission profile of the engine. But if the steering wheel is getting turned, then they're out on the road, so put it into sporty go faster mode and sod the atmosphere, is pretty much how they did it.
Yes.
And, I had a talk years ago where I talk about that as one of the examples of, the ethical responsibility of software development. And if you look at the code, there was a snippet of the code that got leaked. And it's basically like, if you're reading through the code, it's like, if cheating emissions tests do this, else do that. And you're like, how many people must have looked at that line of code and gone like, yeah, can't be important.
Yes.
But yeah, Volkswagen Volkswagen executives went to jail. They actually, because the Germans are capable of prosecuting their millionaires, unlike other countries we shan't talk about.
And so now it turns out that diesel's actually bad. They had to invent a thing called AdBlue. So now if you buy a diesel car or van, it has an extra tank for this additive that you can put in, that you go through at an alarming rate, and it has to be topped up fairly frequently. But also diesel engines, if you run out of petrol in a petrol engine and the car stops, You can get out and you can find some petrol somehow, walk to the nearest petrol station, buy a container, fill it up with like 5 gallons or 5 litres of, and then put it in your car, and then you can start your car again. If you run out of diesel, you have to call the AA. And they will bring some diesel, and because you have to reprime the engine. And it's the same sort of thing. If you accidentally put some diesel in a petrol engine, then you can drain it out, and fill it up with petrol, and then it'll start going again. If you
a public service announcement: if you ever do put diesel in a petrol engine, do not turn it on. Because if it is only in the tank, it is relatively cheap. If you have turned the engine over once, like you've sat in the garage forecourt and gone, you've just like put an extra zero on the cost of fixing it.
If you kind of like get the thing and start and squeeze it, and it kind of go, and then it's like, oh no, this is diesel, and stop.
Yeah.
And then fill it all the way up to the top with petrol, so it's just mostly petrol with a bit of diesel in it. That's actually okay in a petrol engine. But the same thing the other way round: diesel with a bit of petrol engine with a bit of petrol in it in a diesel engine, not good.
Yeah.
So yes, and
so
talking about taxing.
Yes, I was just going to say, I have to confess, I've been driving a diesel car for the last 8 years, and I did not know the thing about you can't just top it up if you run out of fuel. But I have never run out of fuel in a diesel. It's broken down in a lot of other ways, but it's never run out of fuel. So
the front fell off.
The front did actually fell off. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That is the car that is about to go to the Great Breakers Yard in the sky and be replaced with another one.
I mean, normally the front doesn't fall off. But no, the interesting thing about taxing electric vehicles for highway usage is that because of the batteries, they are like 50% heavier than the equivalent petrol vehicle, and so they cause much more damage to the road surface.
Yeah,
and so there is legitimately an argument for taxing them more.
So the fun thing about taxing electricity for electric cars is that then you'll be able to get red electricity, which you can only use domestically. You're not allowed to use it on a public highway. And then if anyone's caught with red electrons in their car, they can go to jail for a really long time. But if you're just using it at home to power like your microwave and your welder and stuff, then red electricity is fine. So as soon as they figure out how to dye the electrons red, it's a goer.
All this talk of red versions of things is giving me flashbacks to Captain America: Brave New World. Which is weird because I'm having flashbacks to something that my memory has pretty much deleted.
I'm just reading this. Right. Neither of us is any authority on motor vehicles. Do not take any advice from anything you hear on this, especially not someone who was at the petrol station where Surly used to work, saying you should fill your car with petrol so that the diesel floats on stuff. No. Claude is finished. Claude has done all the things. What should we get Claude to do now? So what I'm interested in now is the workflow for how do we make Claude do like one little tweak like that. That's all done, and I'm happy with it. Actually, there's something else I want to do here, which is a sort of triangulation point. Now, obviously, there is where's Video Jam? There it is. There is a school of thought that says you don't look at the code anymore, you just Claude it and Claude requirements, and eventually you just plug the customer complaints on social media directly into Claude, and you go to the pub and Claude does everything for you and you just make bank. I'm not convinced that's a place I want to end up, and if we do end up there, it's not something I particularly want to be part of. But what I want to do now as a sort of, sanity check on this, Claude has written a lot of unit tests for this project, and if I open up Visual Studio and I bring down the little Crunch window here, which currently says it has failing tests, but I'm sure it's fine. Let's rebuild that solution.
I shall return momentarily.
absolutely fine. Well, this is interesting. So what we've got here is .NET Build will not build the tests. So get the architect, get the QA. .NET Test does build the tests. It does. That's interesting. Yeah. So A will risk careful with refactor. So yeah, this is the whole point. Is Claude is one thing which is absolutely undisputed is Claude is incredibly good at bullshitting you and saying, I wrote all the tests. And I've worked with human engineers who were very, very good at that as well. And in some cases, they just hadn't quite got their head around what unit tests were for. And in other cases, they just wanted to go home. And so what I'm interested in here is how can we as human developers validate that it has actually written meaningful tests? Now, the best way I've found of checking the tests are good is you break the code on purpose and you see what breaks. Because you should, in theory, if you have 100% test coverage, a modification to any line of code in your application should result in a failing test. And if it's well architected and well instrumented, then the test will indicate exactly what the impact of your change is. Now, this is very interesting to me because in the background, we've got a, hang on. Let's do a .NET build from here. Okay, yeah. So Claude has given us a thumbs up, all done, that's brilliant, on a project where the test project doesn't even build, which means it can't possibly have run any of those tests. Yeah, fine, all right, run that. You'll notice Claude often says, hey, here are 17 lines of arbitrary bash script, are you happy to run it? And you sort of glance at it and you're like, yeah, allow reading that standard 2. That's probably fine. Surly's put diesel into my Ford Capri. The Ford Capri was a wonderful car. A couple of my friends used to have the same Ford Capri. One of them bought it and then they sold it to another friend, and I think that friend sold it to a third friend and eventually got retired. The Ford Capri, the engine's so heavy that when you put your foot on the gas, the whole car would tilt sideways because of the rotational torque of the cylinder heads going in the other direction.
This stream has gone completely off the rails.
I know it does that. So, well, what we've determined is that Claude has just given us a full sign-off and double thumbs up on a project where the unit test project won't actually compile. So it was completely lying about it being done and good and nice. So I've asked the QA, or I've asked the architect to get the QA to do a full code review, including a build, to ensure there are no problems. And it's having a little think about that.
Yeah.
But I was just explaining to our viewers the utility, and if you have a project that claims it has good test coverage, you break the code on purpose and see which tests fail.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought could be fun, we learned this at university, is before you... so this was when we were learning how to do waterfall and SSADM and critical path analysis. But one of the things that we were advised to do is to introduce 10 bugs into your code on purpose before you hand it over for review and testing. Because then if they find all 10 of the 10 bugs, you can have a good confidence in your testers. And if they find 5 of the 10 bugs, you know that for every other bug they found, there's probably another one they didn't, which struck me as a particularly subterfuginous way to work with humans. But for something like Claude, you know, as a way of validating confidence in the tools, it's probably quite a nice idea.
Yes. hallucinating.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So one thing, and I don't know enough about how Windows audio works and all this sort of stuff. So when we are at a gig, and you have noise comes out of your laptop and goes into the Behringer mixing thing.
Yes.
How does that? How is the noise coming out of your laptop at that
point? Worst case scenario is I have one cable that plugs into the headphone jack, and it's got a pair of 6.5 mil, so 1/4-inch jacks on the other end that go into the line inputs on the mixing desk. The reason I don't like that is because the headphone jack on laptops tends to be shit. It doesn't have terribly good sound quality. You get a lot of cross chatter with different circuits inside it, and it's normally one of the first things to break because it's constantly having stuff shoved into it and kicked and tugged and whatever. So for better ones, the laptop runs into this thing, which is a Yamaha AG portable audio interface. And then this has a much cleaner audio out that feeds into the Behringer.
Does it just have one audio out, or does it have...
So I think I know where you're going with this, because I think
I'm getting back on my click track.
You want a click track. So the setup that I use for Guitarioke was to get a 5.1, so a Dolby surround sound USB box, which I bought in Maplin's closing down sale for 20 quid in case it was useful, and then put in a drawer for 5 years, and then it was useful. Yay, validated. Let's run that. Yep. Now the difficulty there, the reason why I did that is that it's quite easy in Premiere to mix a 5.1 audio mix of a video track. And that means that I could put guitar, rhythm guitar, lead guitar, and bass on the 3 front channels. Left for lead, right for rhythm, bass bang in the middle, and then the backing on the back left and back right stereo pair. And that meant I could then run 5 cables, so I had 5 separate channels going to 5 things on the mixing desk. Dorothy says, how large is your might be useful one day cable store? My house is better stocked than every electronics shop in Greater London. If you need a particularly esoteric cable, you are honestly better off asking me than you are trying to find it in a shop, because I enjoy the potential of hardware stuff.
I'm pretty sure I've seen SCART cables in Dylan's.
I've got SCART coax. I've got all sorts. Yeah. All right. That says QA results pass. Build clean. 0 errors. Do we believe? Okay. What did it do? Well, that means that it's sneaky. I said I want you to do a review, and it did not, in fact, review it. What it did was it silently fixed something and pretended it had never been broken, which is not quite the same thing. So what changed in that one there?
Subterfuge.
Yeah. That we can let that go, I suppose.
What does it say?
Let me crank up the UI on that a little bit.
There we go.
It's this thing. You remember we had to stub an interface around one of the providers? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yerky says, what's wrong with SCART? I knew it from UC. I thought of a word the other day. So, there's this whole maxing thing that like looks maxing and this maxing and that. And you know how also there's a lot of things in the world right now where there's a bunch of sycophantic yes men fawning around the alpha male, trying to be, that's called beta maxing is what that is.
I like that.
If your entire raison d'etre is being a sort of sycophantic lackey to one of the psychotic people who are running the show in various ways, you are beta maxing. Congratulations.
Did you watch the new Louis Theroux documentary?
I have not watched it. I have heard about it.
So it's a little bit kind of tragic because you have these the alpha male influencer types. But they have their own little sort of mini entourages of like beaters. Who follow them around and do their bidding and kind of hope to launch their own careers as an alpha male off the back of it. And it's just,
it's like a pyramid scheme, but you don't even get cheap detergent.
Yeah, it is
right. So what we're going to do now is first I'm gonna push that. Did it commit that? That was committed, wasn't it? Yeah, cool. All right.
Yes.
So we're going to do a little bit of exploratory, basically going to hit it with a wrench and see what breaks. So in the main Video Jam app, now this is the first time we've really looked at the code here with any kind of sort of rigor. And because I'm using nCrunch here in Visual Studio, I've got little green lights next to any test here, which has got test coverage. So let's just mess some stuff up. So let me go through and just walk through how the thing actually works. AppXAML is the entry point, isn't it, for a WPF application?
Yes.
So that's going to spin up a logger factory and a video engine and all the things, and and I want the UI and I want the main Windows XAML. And so any line with a little white light next to it, that line has no test coverage. So we're looking for something that actually does. And there we go. So let's if I comment out that line there, so this is the thing that sets the display index when you're dragging things up and down. Comment out that one, and it should, as soon as it's rebuilt. Cool. Okay, so we've got an actual failing test here that says reordering a song update displays the correct indices, which is breaking for the correct reason. Okay, so if we mess up that line of code, then moving things doesn't give them the right numbers anymore. Let's find something else to mess around with. Channel settings, view model. These are all little, the models are just tiny shims with the notify property changed on them, aren't they? Because WPF's doing two-way binding.
It's interesting. And this is something that I'm seeing a lot with LLM code. As a developer, when I'm writing an MVVM thing, which I generally don't, I use reactive UI, but when I do have to work with MVVM stuff, you kind of create abstractions, or you use community toolkit.mvvm, which has an observable object base class, and then that provides a sort of set property thing, which does if the new value is different from the old value, then, or is the same as the old value, then just return, otherwise do this, and then call notify property changed, and it can pass in the, call a member name and all this kind of stuff. Whereas LLMs are just kind of like, why do that? The whole don't repeat yourself thing just doesn't apply, because it's just writing the same code over and over again. They're not good at identifying repetitive. Well, you could probably do a pass where you go identify repetitive implementations of iNotify property changed, and it can extract them to a base class or something.
So the whole
fun thing to try.
Don't repeat yourself is one of those. I have opinions about DIY dry, because I think it has been massively misinterpreted by a lot of people. The definition that always made sense to me is dry means if you have made a significant decision, that decision should only be reflected in your code base once. So, like, don't repeat yourself. If you have, say, the rate of tax, how much is VAT on something, or how do you send an email in your code base? Instead of just having little stub functions everywhere that connect to an SMTP server, you route that through one piece of logic. There are quite a lot of places in a well-architected application where version 1 will do the same thing. So classic example is you've got a database column with a price in it that gets put into a backend domain model with a price in it, gets put into a view model with a price in it, that gets put onto a page or a screen with a price in it. And the version 1 is always like, this is really tedious. We're just mapping this to that, to that, to that. And the value of the architecture is then someone says, oh, no, we need to do currency conversion. You have a lot of places where you can plug that in. You've basically, that repetition has given you the architectural separation. It's just that in version 1, you don't have any, no one's thrown a spanner in your works yet. And so it all looks pretty consistent. But things like iNotify property changed a lot of the time. Certainly, in my own career, my own experience, I've been like, I don't want to type this 20 times. And it'd be way more interesting to come up with a generic abstraction than it will be to type it 20 times. But actually, the right answer is to type it 20 times, because then every single usage of it is a localized application of a pattern that can be changed in isolation if there's one of those scenarios that you're like, this is no longer doing exactly the right thing. I wanted to call out Dorothy's comment. Does it help to give the QA Claude a backstory? Disgruntled ex-dev who suffered a catastrophic event due to insufficient testing.
So actually, the really good thing about that question is that the answer is yes.
Yeah.
You can be very creative and sort of entertain yourself with your backstories and things for your personas, for your prompts, and Claude will take it completely seriously. It's like when we said talk like a pirate, and Claude didn't go, why the hell should I talk like a pirate? It went, aye, Captain. And so yes, you could completely use that as a sort of a way to emphasize to the LLM that the QA engineer is a vindictive bastard who seeks to hurt developers, which is what I've always thought QA engineers are. But yes, hello C Films. We're doing very well, thank you. How are you? And
this is
who would like to have an AI that I can throw on the Linux kernel and it would cut out complexity. Yeah, I'm not sure that Linus.
What's GPL?
Linus.
Hello, my name is Linus Torvalds, and I pronounce Linux as Linux. Was the only audio file that shipped with Red Hat Linux 4 and 5. Which meant after 4 hours compiling the kernel to get your sound card working, it was the first thing you heard.
Oh.
It was like the Linux equivalent of Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass.
There was a big thing where people were actually, it was obviously supposed to rhyme with his name.
Yeah.
But because the more common sort of Western pronunciation is Linus.
Yeah.
People pronounced it Linux for a long time, and it is actually Linux because he pronounces his name Linus.
Yeah. All right. Like a bit of poking around. This is actually solid. If you break a bit of application logic in a careless way, it does actually give you. So if we say the getter on the name on the song entry thing, let's say every song accidentally got replaced with Coldplay, and you give it a second, and that little light there is going to go red, and it's going to go, you can't do that, and boom, and it's like, okay, well, what's broken? And it's wow, it's got migration code. There's something in here that migrates version 1 show files to now this is never shipped, so that's an interesting
it's handy for you, But you could then do a sort of release thing and say you can remove all the migration code because...
Well, that's exactly what I'm thinking, is because I only have one show file now. There's nothing important in it.
And I assume it's been migrated to version 2 by now because you've opened
it. So what I'm curious about now is... So this is the point where, like, I'm going to run the thing and I'm going to, oh, that'd be a nice to have. So what's the workflow for just adding little incremental improvements to it as you're going along?
So it's /OPSX:proposal, I think. Oh no, new. Start a new change.
Yep. Okay. So C films. When do you feel like you need to remove a piece of code, a Yankee, which I think you probably mean Yagni. You aren't going to need it. So, yeah, I mean, that's always a tough call, because part of the role of I think a good developer is being able to go, right, these are the humans who are going to care if I turn this off, and I'm going to go and talk to them. And I did at one point have a program where certain customers of ours, we would go and see them with a Firefox installer and a bottle of good whiskey, because it was cheaper than supporting Internet Explorer 5. And there weren't very many people, and we knew who they were. And most of them were fairly local to where our office was, because West End London. And so eventually I was like, look, can I come around and upgrade your computer just so it works with our new website stuff? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, all right. And you turn up with, whiskey or chocolates or something and be like, thank you, we really appreciate it. And it's amazing how you can spin the message when it's about, like, just say to them, we want to do this because X, Y, Z. New feature, boom. Yes.
So I used to have a website called Untitled Document, which was like my version of The Onion.
Yeah.
And one of the things that got me sort of to stop doing comedy and go back to programming was I did a complete rewrite of the site and essentially built a tiny little content management system.
Yeah.
But it used DHTML, if you remember.
Yeah.
DHTML, dynamic HTML. And one of the things it used that for was like a news ticker. And I would change the stories, the headlines that were in the news ticker every week. They didn't go anywhere or do anything. But if the browser didn't support the thing I was using to do the news ticker, and I can't remember what it was, it just displayed a static bar saying annoying users browser doesn't support latest web standards or something. And I got complaints. It's like people reading a satirical website feeling attacked because I had told them to switch their browser. And I'm pretty sure it was like people who were still using Internet Explorer. Probably 4. This was 1998, 99.
Yeah.
I think I was doing this website. And yes, most successful story ever. And I mean, I'm talking about like 13,000 hits. On the page was Drunk Blair announces tax on everything. Also, Tim Westwood to host new Funked Up shipping forecast. Big up the Lundy Castnet massive.
I remember someone turning around to a group of us in a pub one day and just saying completely out of nowhere, do you remember where you were when you found out Tim Westwood was white? And everyone being like, oh, because we did. Because that was like exactly. The people who were listening to a lot of Radio 1 back in the day all had that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a term in the 90s for white people who presented black. And
this being the entire archetype that got pastiched by Ali G.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, it was the worst word in the world, with the first letter just replaced with a W. And yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just skate right up to the edge of cancellation and then back off. It's fine.
Yeah. It's comedy.
True full screen, not just WPF maximized.
Speaking of comedy, have you ever listened to Mike Birbiglia talking about the time he was on The Muppets?
I think I have. I think you've mentioned that to me before.
I only heard it for the first time yesterday.
Oh, somebody has mentioned.
Yeah, but I know you're a big fan of The Muppets. And
I am.
I thought it's on Spotify and Tidal and all the streaming things, and it's lovely.
Yes. Performing with the Muppets, getting heckled by them, and being comforted by Kermit. I remember
yes,
that.
Yes.
There's a fantastic bit with Fozzie having an existential crisis because there's a dude next to him. It's just, but yes, if anybody has, Disney Plus has a new Muppet show. So I grew up with the Muppet Show, and Sesame Street was a thing in the United States, and Jim Henson went to ABC and said, we want to do like a cabaret variety show with the same kind of puppets, and we think it'll be great. And ABC said, we don't think we can sell that to American audiences. And so Jim Henson went, all right, what about British audiences? They're sort of more open to stuff. The Elmo and Robin Williams outtake is absolutely fantastic. Yes, Jeff, you are correct.
That link is the or rather that's a YouTube video with the right title. I have no idea if it's the same material because I wasn't watching and listening on YouTube. Yeah,
but yes, and so they made the show in the UK, actually in the studio where they now record The Last Leg, because I went to a live recording of The Last Leg, and you can see the little kind of box on the wall, which is all closed off now, but it used to be Statler and Waldorf's box seats where they would heckle Fozzie from. But anyway, on the Disney Channel, they have now released a new episode of The Muppets Show, and it's a kind of, if this does well, we shall make more of these. But it's Sabrina Carpenter, and she is just so, she really like gives it her all. Oh, that's a good question. I like that. Which Muppet do each of you identify with the most, and has it changed over time? So I'm going to say Statler, because for a very long time Statler was my Twitter avatar.
Yeah.
And then someone, when I started doing speaking at events, someone said, nobody knows who you are because your Twitter avatar isn't you. And so I bought a Statler mask, like a full overhead Statler mask, and started wearing it at events, rather than put my own face, because I was very dysphoric about my face. But I would say now I would also identify with Janice from Dr. Teeth and the thing.
The Electric Mayhem.
The Electric Mayhem.
Yeah.
Yes, Janice the bassist.
Yeah. I don't know. I never was into certainly the Jim Henson, Frank Oz character that I know the best is Yoda, who's not a Muppet, or maybe he's a Muppet. Yeah. We don't know. And I love all the stuff they did for Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal, but the actual, the canonical Muppets, yeah.
Honestly, I think of you as Kermit.
You do?
Well, because Kermit's like the ringleader. And you're sort of the ringleader of
the instigator,
and the instigator. Yes,
I'm the one who somehow gets constantly surrounded by people who then make shit happen.
Yes.
So yeah, that's cool. I'll take that. So the thing that I'd love to see, this it's not an original idea. I saw this floating past on Blue Sky or something a little while ago, is the Muppets Dungeons and Dragons crossover movie, which it opens with the Muppets sat around a table playing a D&D campaign, but then it switches to being in universe, and it's got Miss Piggy's character is a barbarian played by Jason Momoa or The Rock or, you know, Dwayne Johnson or somebody, but with Miss Piggy's voice. And so it's just, it's this incredibly, you know, Hollywood, big effects, chiseled actors who look too good to be real, running around doing like Dungeons and Dragons-y stuff, but all of their character decisions are pure Muppet energy. I think that would be brilliant. So, okay, so boom, done. Let's run it on real hardware, check it works, and then OPSX archive to clear out the change. So .NET build.
C Films asks, what is your most used coding language? For me, that would be C#.
Yes, I.
But you do a lot of JavaScript as well, though, don't you?
JavaScript is a language of last resort. So over my career, in terms of lines of code, C# probably like twice as much C# code as JavaScript code. I do write lots and lots of things in JavaScript because it runs in browsers, so it's very useful for web things. CSS is a wonderful language, but it's very much a less is more kind of a language. Like generally, if you find, because most of the time when you're working in something like C#, adding new features means writing more lines of code. Whereas CSS is very much, you don't want it to get out of control. You want to try to keep what you've got as minimal as possible to minimize the likelihood of it conflicting with itself later. So anyway, let's open a show. All right. Drag and drop still works. That's nice. There are our videos. Now, if I double click that one. No. So this is that frustrating moment where you're like, you said it worked. It doesn't work. I should have cleaned before building, shouldn't I? There we go. So this is that absolute point of like, it just didn't do it.
Jabbering away. Yes, I've been jabbering away and I was on mute.
Oh, I wasn't watching, and I can't lip read, so I have no idea.
You need the rendellabs.newt from Orbit .NET tool.
Yeah. That does not... So I am trying to gain better insight into exactly how the people who deploy code to production without testing it manually are doing what they do. And it is possible that what they're doing is not building WPF apps that you have to run on a Windows desktop. But this doesn't work. It just plain doesn't... It just... Yeah.
Nothing happens at all.
The video does not go full screen when I double click on it.
Wasting drinking water. I like these.
I think it's important to continually remind oneself of the implications.
Yes. So last week, I was trying to get the Claude workshop website.
Classic libVLC problem. VLC renders into a native. Yes, it does. I knew that. And yeah,
I thought that was what it was. Sorry,
I did actually know that VLC, the way it works is WPF says, look, there's a canvas, do stuff here. This is the same hack that you used to have to use to draw something over the top of a drop-down, like a select box in IE5, because you couldn't draw HTML over the top of a drop-down box, but you could draw iframes over the top of a drop-down box with HTML inside the iframes. Everything old is new again. All right. C-Film says, what do you think of manual coding versus vibe coding? Part of the point of doing these streams, let me just check this quickly and then we will. Yeah, no. De nada. No. So part of the reason for doing, these streams and everything is trying to get a handle on how much of the hype is real, how much of the hype is people who genuinely can see the direction this is going for, well-grounded reasons, and how much of it is literally hype because people want line go up, people want money, people want everything. And certainly the vibe coding is the my understanding of vibe coding is that you don't test the code, you don't verify anything, you get AI to review AI and deploy it directly to production, and there is a hypothetical development model where you have an AI that writes the code and an AI that reviews the code, and you give it the deployment keys to your, Amazon Web Services, and it deploys the code automatically, and that happens. And then you have another one that is constantly running penetration tests against that, so you can find out if there are security problems with it. And, all the way down to, like, we must be fairly close to the point where you could have a swarm of AI agents. One of them is looking at your Stripe, like your payment processor, and another one's looking at your Google Analytics, and they're literally just doing more of whatever makes money and just looping on that basis. And I find that, interesting as an experiment, but the ethics of giving unsupervised AI the ability to mess around with real money and real infrastructure. At that point, your AI could figure out for itself that what people really want to see is content which is illegal. And then they could find it. And suddenly you're like, oh, crap, I just made $100,000 on Stripe selling. So Dorothy doesn't think that's vibe coding either. So
coding is,
if vibe coding is coding without knowing how to code, we are not going to be able to vibe code because we know what we're doing. Sorry, but in a nutshell, unless we got it to build systems in Intercal, which is a language neither of us, I think, knows how to read. I hope.
I can read it.
No, you can't.
I can. Yeah, no, I understood. I probably couldn't now, but at one point I would have been able to explain to you how the Hello World application in Intercal displayed Hello World on the screen. Yay!
Breakthrough! Right.
That's astonishing.
I put that one there. I'm going to put that one there. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to press play. And I'm going to pause it and stop it. And I'm going to display a fallback image. Okay. So interestingly, that fallback image never displays anywhere.
No. But no, the stream I did with Ben.
Yeah.
We did talk about kind of vibe coding versus engineering, sort of AI assisted engineering, agent assisted engineering. And yeah, essentially what it comes down to is that vibe coding is, you don't have a spec, you don't have a requirements document, you don't have any of this formal stuff. It's just a human being going, build a website that does this, and then just like having a conversation over time. And so essentially the workshop that the site is now actually up and deploying successfully. And if
does it have a URL?
Well, it does, but I'm not going to share it yet because it says no public date scheduled yet. Check back soon or book a private workshop for your team, which it shouldn't be saying. Also, I'm redoing the format. So instead of being a 2-day workshop, it is a 1 or 2 day workshop. So day 1 is pro and day 2 is max.
Yes.
And so if you only have a pro subscription, like that you're paying for yourself, and you have limited tokens, then you just do the day 1. And that will teach you, hold on, let me just find my thing here. So configuration, so writing personal system prompts, memory files, agent personas, custom / commands, reusable skills, MC model context protocol for things like GitHub and databases, and hooks. So you can say after you've generated some code, run like .NET format or whatever, and then using OpenSpec to do spec-driven development. But that's very much the human-in-the-loop model that works well when you have limited credits. And then the max day is multi-session workflows and work trees. So max gives you the ability, gives either 5 times or 20 times. If you pay $200 a month, I think it's £180 a month, then you get 20 times as many tokens as you do on the pro subscription. And that means that you can sort of turn on Git work tree support, which is built into Claude Code now, and you can actually go, hey, here are half a dozen separate issues, feature requests, whatever it is, spin up entire teams of sub-agents to manage all of these. It will cover giving Claude access to your GitHub repository and just being able to @Claude in an issue and then check back half an hour later, and it will have opened a pull request for which has already been reviewed repeatedly and is just waiting for a final review from a human, and that sort of thing. And so, yes, so that will be covered. Work trees and multi-session workflows, headless sessions, that sort of thing. And then on the afternoon of the max day, creating a multi-agent pipeline with like planner, implementer, tester, reviewer, coordinate the agents through files, orchestrate a full feature build across 3 parallel work trees, and then, yeah, integrating the agent into your GitHub thing. And so, yeah, this is for people who either have their own $200 a month subscription or are getting that sort of thing through work. And yeah, and for the online sort of, you can personally book it for yourself things, these workshops will probably use HTML, JavaScript, CSS, web applications and Node backends, simply because that's, everybody pretty much understands those things. For corporate workshops, if you are running, if your place uses Java, we'll customize it for Java. If your place uses .NET, we'll customize it for .NET, and so on. so it will be relevant to you.
There's I'm doing a online workshop in April, and it's quite interesting because I'd listed it and it didn't sell any tickets, so I took it down. And then someone got in touch and went, "What happened to the workshop? We were going to send some people from our company." And I said, "Well, I took it down because I hadn't sold any tickets." And they went, "Well, we'd like to send some people." And so I said to them, "Well, if you want it private just for you, it'll cost this much. But if you send 4 people at the price that was listed on Eventbrite, I will let you choose the date as long as I can then relist it publicly and see if we can sell any more tickets to it." And they said, "Yeah, that's fine." Which is quite a sort of nice mix between the two, because it means it's much more cost effective for them sending a small team. And they get to choose dates and times which are convenient for the time zone they'll be joining from and stuff. But then it's down to me. So I know that there's going to be enough people to make it worth running it. But if I want to go online and push that and see if I can get some more people signed up, then yeah, that's a thing. And I'm just wondering if I've actually bothered to link that from anywhere. Because if I have, I can share a link here and people can go and look at it. And yeah, there it is. Advanced web applications with ASP.NET Core 10, because it's on 10 now, so I can do that. But C Films has commented that the future might be a hybrid model between manual coding and vibe coding. I think it kind of always has been. I mean, if it is very rare to ship something to production where you can understand and explain and justify every single line of code in the entire system. And it is equally rare to deploy anything where you literally have no idea. I mean, I'm sure that there are... Every time someone gets malware on their WordPress site, I am reminded that the trade-off between security and ease of use is never, ever going to get solved, because security is just a pain in the ass by nature of its existence. And anytime somebody sells you on a solution that's easy to use, it probably means the security isn't very good. But yeah, the stuff that I'm doing now on not the stream, but other coding projects and work I'm doing, I'll spin up Claude and I'll be like, "Hey, build me one of these," and it'll do something, and I'll check it works, and then I'll start pulling it apart, and sometimes I'll take whole chunks of it. I am not yet at the point where I am letting Claude kind of be the pilot. It is still very much I will ask it to contribute features as necessary. But that is it's definitely doing a lot of stuff that I don't want to do, which means I got more time to do the stuff I do want to do, which is front end and semantic HTML and responsive CSS and the things that's my happy place. I love doing that stuff so much. Yeah. It says it's finished. Should we fast forward this?
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of in a bit of a groove now with this. I think it probably makes sense to stop talking about Video Jam, because I can now pick a quiet day and just crank Claude to get it doing all the stuff we want, and then it'll work for real. One of which will be plugging in multiple audio interfaces so that you can have your click track.
Yes.
So
nobody else cares about the click track, but I am the closest thing that Line Breakers has to a rhythm section, so it would be really... There are a couple of songs, I mean, specifically Seven Nation Army.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of other songs.
Yeah.
And actually, if we get round... Oh, so I want to tweak the lyrics that I wrote for Team is Burning Out. So it's now going to be about having a team of engineers, but each engineer is running a team of 15 agents, and trying to develop 5 sort of features each simultaneously. Because I think that's like a topical thing, is this issue of people seriously burning themselves out because they are managing entire development departments on one laptop.
Have you tried Copilot CLI? I haven't. I've used Copilot in the VS chat thing. Have you tried Copilot CLI?
No, I haven't. Nor have I tried Codex, which I think is a similar thing. No, I've tried. So I use Claude on a user declined to answer.
I told it to fast forward, and it said, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I want to apply the thing that you were in the middle of."
Okay.
So I pressed escape rather than giving it an answer that would cause it to start doing a new feature.
But no, I have. I've used OpenCode with Claude, and it's very good. I mean, OpenCode is fine. I'm used to Claude, but I will be doing a stream tomorrow or Wednesday at probably 2:00, where I try using OpenCode with the local Quen 3.5 model, the 27 billion parameter one. See if I can build something useful with that. I might do a comparison of that against something that I've built with Claude.
You've just reminded me that was downloading in the background.
Yes.
Download completed.
Twice.
So no, I downloaded. That's the.
So the 9 billion will offload.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 9 billion will offload to your GPU. The 27 billion on yours will offload as many of the weights as it can onto your GPU.
So that one there, if I load that one.
And then, you should be able
to do something with it. I know what I'm going to do with it.
Ask it what the Claude 4.6 in its name means. Yeah, so this is... I don't think it's allowed to search the web. Or you could tell it to search the web. I don't have the ability to search the web in real time. However, I do have browsing tool, can search the internet for current information.
Okay.
So yeah, tell it to use its browsing tool. Oh, okay. Yeah, just that. Stop, reason, end of stream token found. Interesting.
I don't think it's... What's that?
It's yeah.
All right.
What I don't know is like LM Studio's harness, because the thing that you're dealing with here is LM Studio is providing all the capabilities. It's like the Claude model. When it searches the internet, it's in Claude Code or Claude Desktop or whatever. It's doing it from your machine. It's using your machine's internet connection to do that, and then feeding all the data back to Claude itself.
All right. So if we've got a fallback image set, I need a PNG. Do I have a PNG? Of course I don't. And I've got a lot of screenshots. One of them might be good.
I did not see Hard Fork last week. I will add that to my queue. Thank you.
That is indeed a fullback PNG. So when nothing is playing, if I load a slightly more cromulent PNG, there we go. That's the fullback image that you can stick on whatever screen you want. And then when you press play, so it displays the fullback image when you pause, but then when you stop, it closes all the windows. That's maybe all right. It's interesting sort of thinking through, well, actually, how does the workflow for this thing work when you're not constrained by what you can do with PowerPoint? What can you or can you not do, and what makes sense, and at what point? You know, I'm thinking through, you get to the venue, you plug the gear in, you set up, and you're like, at what point should the laptop take control of the big screen? By the way, if you scan that QR code, you get to join a WhatsApp from a concert that happened 4 months ago, so that'll be nice for you. But yeah. Cool. I'm going to knock off in a couple of minutes because it's been nearly 2 hours, and
yes,
I have other things that I'm going to go and tinker with. But yeah, so where should we take it from here? I suspect there is very limited utility in. So you want a click track? Well, let's just we can crank up one more feature in here. So okay, all good. Ship that. And while you do that, I'm going to grab a piece of hardware. So this is a box. This is one box. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have approximately 20 of these boxes full of useful things. There you go. That's a useful thing. That is an Asus USB-powered 5.1 audio interface.
Cool.
That is a we don't know who made this 7.1 USB audio interface that I happen to have in a box because it might be useful one day. Now this thing's going to be fiddly because what we need to do now is actually, you know what? We'll do this in the next one. This is going to be, we need to basically build a spec for adding support for multi-channel audio devices, which means cranking in enough UI that you can take an audio track and you can assign it to a physical out, or like a matrix mixer. So every channel, this might need a diagram. We might need to actually feed it a picture.
Or, right?
Yeah.
But hear me out.
Yes.
It just picks up any file called click.wav and click.mp or click.mp3, and that goes to a specific channel, and all the others just go to the default.
But that's like building a function called destroy Moscow instead of building a function called destroy city that takes grid coordinates. It's professionally irresponsible.
I am.
So
not professionally irresponsible. So yes, Dorothy Hawley says the last episode of this is surely the line breakers running the program live on stage. It would. We could live stream from the Copenhagen post conference gig.
I like the fact that I admire your optimism that there will be a Copenhagen post-conference gig. The radio silence is delightful on that front. But two, I like the fact you think that it's going to end there. The last episode will be, okay, so yesterday this crashed in front of 75 people in a bar in Denmark. Let's see if Claude can fix it based on mobile phone footage.
Video Jam became self-aware on August 29th, 2029.
Yes. Anyway, cool. All right. Well, you all have a lovely week out there. I will be doing things online. If anyone, the public presenting workshop I'm doing is basically full. But if anyone does want to hang out for 2 afternoons and learn all about how to do awesome things with modern CSS, that's happening on Thursday and Friday. And it's at dylanbt.net/workshops. And I'll drop a link to that one in here. So it's called Wait, CSS Can Do That. And it's all about all the stuff that you thought you needed JavaScript to be able to do, because there's a lot of awesome stuff out there. And
having seen the talk, it's quite astonishing what CSS can do. Micro 500 says they would watch on stage Claude debugging. Our viewers are weird people, and I love them very much.
I'm going to show you one more awesome CSS thing, which is not mine, but I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Just because it's so good, everybody needs to see it. And I just need to find it on the blue sky because it was here a couple of days ago. And there, it's this. So this is an HTML. So that's the HTML there. It's just a select with some options, and each option has a little emoji in it. This is the JavaScript. There is none. This is the CSS. And this is how you select your fruit. Let's get a strawberry. There we go. Boom. Let's get a banana. Banana.
That's
let's get a watermelon.
Brilliant.
Watermelon. And one of the things I'm going to do this week is going to go through that and explain to people how it pure CSS. Yeah. A stylable select picker with appearance-based select and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, if you want to know how stuff like that works. Someone's ported Doom to CSS recently, which is quite fun. Doom in CSS. No, there's a more recent version of that, but it's amazing. It's phenomenally good what you can do with it these days. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, folks. We are done for today.
Can I just say, though, really, really thank you for tuning in and shout out to everybody, because this chat is getting so engaged with these streams, and it is a real pleasure to kind of chat to you while Claude does its thing. It's so much fun, and I'm really enjoying myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for hanging out with us.
Dorothy says, "Why does it have to be guns?" I don't know. Why?
Because mankind is inherently violent, Dorothy.
I tell you what we'll do to make it better is I'm going to build a version of that demo where you have to choose your firearm by throwing fruit at it. So you have to throw a banana, and we've got like a rocket launcher and a hand, and you knock them down. And anyway.
So yes, you can choose between like weapons in Counter-Strike by chucking fruit at them as they float around the place.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks. Catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
See you next time.